In this lesson, we're going to graph linear equations using the intercepts. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to identify the intercepts. The intercepts are where the line crosses the x-axis and the y-axis. Remember that our horizontal axis is our x-axis and that our vertical axis is the y-axis. So when identifying the x-intercept, we are looking for where it's crossing this line right here on that x-axis. And so if we take a look at our point right here and where it's crossing the x-axis, this here is the x-intercept. And it is crossing at the point 2, 0. So now let's go ahead and we're going to identify the y-intercept. And again, we're looking for where is the line crossing this vertical axis. And so right here is where the line is crossing that y-axis. So this is the y-intercept. And if we were to identify the point in which it is crossing it, we're not walking anywhere, but we're going straight up to the 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 0, 4. So now we're going to use the graph to identify the x and the y-intercept. So let's start with our x-axis, or remember, this is our x-axis and this is our y-axis. So we're looking then, first of all, where is the line crossing this x-axis? And so here's our point right here. Oops, let's change, there you go, right here. And so the point we're walking over 2 and we're going up 0. So the point is 2, 0. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the y-intercept. So what the y-intercept is where the line is crossing the y-axis. So now we're looking for going straight up and down here. And you'll notice then it is crossing at the 0, -2. So we didn't walk anywhere and we went down -2. So let's go ahead and take a look at our next one. We're going to identify the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So we're looking at the x-axis and where it's crossing the x-axis. So we walked over 6 and we went up 0. Now let's identify our y-intercept. It's where it's crossing the y-axis. Again, here is our x-axis and our y-axis. This one's not labeled. So I'm going to then identify, and it's right here, it's crossing the y-intercept. And so we walked over 0 and up 3. All right, so now I'd like for you to look at our points and see if you can see any patterns that we have here with our x-intercept and our y-intercept when it comes to the coordinates. One of the things I want you to notice is that notice how they all have a 0 in them. So we have a 0 here, we have a 0 here, here's a 0, and here's a 0. And you could look up here as well. All right. Now remember that this is the x coordinate and this is the y coordinate. This is our x coordinate and our y coordinate. So you might start to notice that they have the zeros. When we're looking at the x-intercept, notice how the y is always 0. So for the x-intercept, the y coordinate is always 0. And now when we're looking at the y-intercept, notice how the x-coordinate is always 0. It's because then it's on the axes. We're either walking over and not going up any, or we're not walking over any and then we're going straight up or down. So now we're going to graph using the intercepts. We've been graphing using the slope and the y-intercept. And remember, to find that, we had to solve for y. So when we solved for y, remember we rearranged our equation. We went and we had 2x plus 4y is equal to 12. And so then we would graph, or we would minus the 2x, we're solving for the y. We'd have 4y is equal to 12 minus 2x, and then So we would have y is equal to 3 minus, and negative 2 all over 4 can be simplified down to 1 all over 2x. So remember that when we went to go graph this, we started on the 3. We went down 1 over 2. I'm going to do this a couple times. Down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. And so here we would, so then we'd have this straight line where we graphed it using the slope and the y-intercept. All right, so we're going to now talk about how we could graph this using the intercepts. And I left the graph up there so that you could see the other way of doing it and getting the same answer. So now we're going to graph using the x and the y-intercept. So what I like to do that, remember we just got done saying that the x-intercept is when the y is 0 and that the y-intercept is when the x-coordinate is 0. So let's take our equation and let's plug in a 0 then for each of those coordinates. So I have 2x plus 4, we're saying y is 0, is equal to 12. So then that cancels out, and we're going to divide by 2, and we'll have 6. And so now let's go ahead and we're going to do the same thing. We have 2x plus 4y is equal to 12, but we're plugging in for our x. Oops, I forgot to do that here. So we're going to plug in here for our x is 0. And so when that happens, that goes away. I divide by 4, and then I get 3. So let's plot our 2 points here. I'm going to plot 6, 0, walk over 6, go up 0. And I'm going to plot the 0, 3, and notice how it is on the same graph. We're just using a different method to graph this. So we've used the intercepts then to graph versus solving for y. So we're going to graph the rest of these by using the x and the y intercepts. Remember, for the x-intercept, the y is 0. And for the y-intercept, the x is 0. And if you get these mixed around, it does not matter. I just think sometimes it's less confusing if you know that you're finding the x first and then you're finding the y. It really does not matter. I can find the y-intercept first and then the x-intercept. All right, so we're going to plug them into our equation. So we're saying that y is equal to 0. So this would go away. I would then divide by -4, divide by -4, and then I get -6. All right, so now we're going to plug in 0 for x. So I'll plug in 0 here, and that cancels out. I divide by 6, and I get 4. So now all we have to do is plot the points. I have -6. I'm going to go walk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going up 0. For the next one, I'm going over 0, but I'm going straight up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And notice then, all you need to graph are the 2 lines or 2 points, and now we've graphed the equation. All right, for number 3, we have 5x minus y is equal to 5. So again, let's make x. Well, I'm going to show you that it does not matter which one you start with. I can plug in 0 for x. And now what I have left is I've got negative y is equal to 5. When I go to simplify that, I'm going to divide by the -1, and I get then 5. All right, so now we're going to plug in 0 for y. And so I have 5x is equal to 5. We divide by 5, and we get 1. So we have 0, 5 that we have to plot. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I walked 0, but went up 5. For my next one, I'm going to walk over 1, go up over, I'm walking over 1, but going up or down 0. So then we have our line again. And for our last one, I have got x, y. I'm just going to start by finding the x-intercept and then the y-intercept. So I'm going to plug in 0 for y. This goes away, and I'm going to divide by 7, and you'll get 3. And then now I'm going to plug in 0 for x. That goes away. Don't forget that there's a negative there. So we're going to divide by -3. And 21 divided by -3 is -7. So when we go to graph this, we're going to walk over 3, go up 0. And then now we're going to go walk over 0, but we're going to go down 7. And now we've got the 2 points we need to graph the line. All right, so in this lesson, we took a look at how to graph equations by using the intercepts.